are going to, I'm going to make this the screen. Get your kids to listen. That is a huge complaint that I hear all the time from parents. I have done the boot camps, like I said, and the number one thing that I hear is my kids don't listen, so I yell, and they don't listen even more. The reason why they don't listen when you yell is because you're training them not to listen to you. When you're repeating yourself over and over and over, you're actually teaching them, I'm not going to listen to mom, I'm not going to listen to dad until they really are serious. Like they really mean it, because they're going to get loud. When they start, and then what happens is the next time you have to elevate it and elevate it and elevate and elevate. So you're always teaching them not to listen when you're repeating yourself and being a broken record. So number one, you're not going to be a broken record anymore. If they're not doing something that you want them to do, there are different things you can do. But first of all, you need to listen to the video from yesterday, because yesterday, the video about the yelling and why you're doing it and the triggers and the buttons, that is key. You have to listen to that first, so you realize what's being triggered up in me, and you're taking that nanosecond and turning into a half a second. Because those buttons, Dr. Shefali says, do not exist. And when she said that at a parenting conference, she's going to be in New York in October, and she's going to be incredible. But I went to California last December, and saw her talk. And it was like, when she said that, I was like, those buttons don't exist. What do you mean? Well, they don't exist because you put the buttons there. So instead of saying it's the child's fault of why you're reacting the way you're reacting, examine the buttons. What story did you tell to put yourself there? What story went into that button? Because that button doesn't really exist. It's just something that you have placed there, and the child just being a child and a clueless individual who doesn't even know somehow how to drink out of a cup. They did not push your buttons. The button is there for a reason, so that is where they are your greatest teacher, because you can examine those buttons. So you're turning that half a second, or that nanosecond, into a half a second. And in that moment, you are seeing what is behind the button. So I have thousands of surveys, no judgments here. I'm just doing the yeah, me too feeling for you all, that you are not alone, and that there is other ways of doing it to make your kids listen. Okay, so we all know that if you were to raise your hand, and the best day of your life would be the day your child was born, the day you were married. So we have all this emotion and all this fear and all this stuff put into the child, because we feel like it's the best day of our life, and you just have these fear of failure. So that's a lot of times why you respond the way you do. So if you are acknowledging that's there, then you will also be able to not react when the things happen, and then act for the child and not for you. So you're teaching them to repeat them. You're teaching yourself to repeat yourself. The buttons don't exist. When they are upset or where they're not listening to something that you're saying, you can do what I love doing with Grady is Grady, go brush your teeth. And you're one of the other. I don't keep saying, Grady, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, because I'm teaching him, don't listen to mom, tune her out, tune her out. You don't want to be the Willy Wonka or the Charlie Brown teacher. So I'll say, I learned this from Love and Logic. I love it. Uh-oh, Grady's not listening. He needs to brush his teeth on the count of 3, or I am going to. Now, the or I am going to is always a very natural consequence. It's not, or I'm going to flip out on you and scream and shout. I'm going to put you in timeout. Oh, that rhymed. I am going to, and then you fill in the blanks. I'm going to have to help you. Even though he probably would, on a normal day, want me to help him, in that moment, he's not going to want me to help him, because he knows that means, like, I've lost my sense of independence. So that's usually what happens, is I will have to help you, or come here, please, or I will have to come and pick you up, or I'm going to have to assist you. My voice does not ever change this. This is how I'm always talking. And after you do that, time in and time out and time in and time out, especially with the younger kids, it works. All you have to say is, uh-oh, and then it's like, boom, boom. They do what and then, like, Lily's older, so then I don't even have to say, uh-oh. Like, if the other day she didn't want to take a shower. I don't want to take a shower, I want to take a shower. I'm like, oh man, bummer. Like, you're really having big feelings about this, because you feel like, and then I said, because you feel like you're so tired and you feel like the shower's just going to wake you up. I just empathized what she was feeling instead of making it about me and, like, the whining. And then I said, why don't we come up with a win-win? And then I said, I said, I'll get your jammies. I'll surprise you with jammies. I'll put them in the dryer, and then when you get out, they'll be nice and warm. She's like, shoom, she shot up into the shower. Simple little things like that. But what I wanted to say is, stop whining. I wanted to stop the behavior instead of acknowledging the feeling, because we want the kids to feel comfortable expressing their feelings, because when they feel safe to express themselves, then later on they're going to be able to say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling stressed out, or I'm feeling this. Grady, he was for weeks he was walking in the house with his shoes and just dropping them at the door. I mean, like dropping them. I'm like, what is going on? The trigger in me felt disrespected. How could he not? Blah, blah, blah. I made it all about me. He's 5. Okay, so I need to teach him. Repeating myself doesn't working. Whining didn't work. Doing it myself. Then I felt like I was the martyr. That didn't work. So, simple little thing. Because I was not being triggered. I took my triggers out and I said, let's make this a game. So then, the more you can make things a game, the more their lessons are going to be learned. This went on for weeks. So then I said, I'm going to pretend like I'm tripping over Grady's shoes, and I'm going to really overreact. And so help me up. And like, are you okay? You're okay. So drops the shoes. Like he always does, asking him for weeks. I'm like, all right, Kelly, come on, be the conscious parent. So I walk over and I trip over the shoes, and I walk over, I trip over the shoes, and I fall down all, like, oh no, I'm falling, I can't get up. And Lily comes running, and he kind of knows it's a joke, he kind of doesn't, because I'm kind of laughing, kind of not, and his eyes are like, is this serious? Is this for real? And I'm like, I tripped over something, I don't know what it is, oh no. And then he's like, it was my shoes, Mommy. So he picks up his shoes, runs away. Guess what? That never happened again, where he left his shoes there. So then if Lily does it, or sometimes David will leave them out on purpose, and then we'll like fall over David's shoes. So it's like a thing now. Something so simple, so silly, but it works. He left it now, then he started leaving his shoes in the car, because he's like, oh, I don't want to bring them all the way to my basket. I'll just leave them in the car. So, Grady, go get your shoes. Grady, no, that's not going to work. So, think outside the box. Think outside the box. So then I don't mention the shoes. I make a mental note of it, and I'm just giving you examples. These are examples you can place to your own life. So I said, so then we're coming in the house, we're unpacking. I know the shoes are in there. I don't want to nag. I don't want to remind him. I don't have to do anything. I want it to be coming from within him. That's not going to happen on his own. He's not going to be like, oh, I left my shoes in the car. I got to go get those. But the next morning, we're not going to have shoes. Then we're going to be like, where are the shoes? So the whole shoes. So then I said, so he's like, Mommy, can I have an after school snack? Or can I have some applesauce? Whatever it was. He loves applesauce. So I said, sure, buddy, go get your shoes out of the car, and then I'll get your applesauce, and we'll meet back here. And he's like, zoom, and sprints off. He doesn't forget to bring his shoes in anymore. And if he does, it's not like, go get your shoes. That's so disrespectful. You leave your shoes everywhere, blah, blah, blah. It's not in, it's just like, it's kind of like the way we talk to each other now. Let's see some other examples. Laundry on the floor, lights on, things like that. Those are triggers for David. Lights on is like a huge trigger for David. Clothes on the floor a little bit for me, a lot for David. He's a bit of a neat freak. So now we changed it into a game where I shut off the light, and I don't say like, and I just shut off the light, and I just say, oh, I just got 2 points for shutting off the light. We get 2 points for shutting off the light, and 3 points for, okay, so then laundry on the floor, it was, you get 5 points you get 2 points if you just toss it in, because we use our washing machine as a basketball hoop. So we have 2 points if you just walk it by, and then 3 points if you shoot it from like the doorway. It's like a 3-point shot. So instead of saying, get your laundry, get your laundry, get your laundry, get your laundry, I told you, how many times did I tell you, how many times did I tell you, how many times, then we're in that loop. This loop. We want out of this loop as much as possible. So when we take our ego out of it and we take our triggers out of it and we examine the buttons, then we can respond like it's just like I was in the classroom and I could be like, oh, dude, you got to help this out. I didn't call my kids dude, but so then I will do it for them. And I'm like, yeah, baby, I just got 3 points. And the points go to nothing. It's just a fun thing to do. It's not like we're competing. I don't want to compete the kids against each other. It's not like I'm competing against kids, grown-ups. It's none of that. It's just like, oh, 2 points. Make it a game. Make it fun. Because when you do that, then it takes the adversary out of it. It takes the, this out of it. Just make it fun. Let's see what else. put on your shoes. Oh, I'm back to the shoes again. I don't want to put on my shoes. I'm like, okay, well, you can put on your red shoes or your blue shoes. Which shoes do you want to wear? Are your light up shoes or your brown shoes, your fast shoes? Because he says a certain pair of shoes make them run faster. I'm like, do you want to wear your light up shoes or your, I don't say like, you have to put on your shoes. Come on, let's put on your shoes. I told you, how many times did I tell you? You never listen. Because when you say you never listen, self-fulfilling prophecy. So I said, do you want to wear your light up shoes or your fast shoes? He's like, fast shoes. Bzz, off he goes. Because he forgets about it. It's all about like, just, they don't want to do, like, I don't want to blow dry my hair in the morning, but I know I need to. So they know they need to, and so we can make it more of a game, and it just becomes more natural. So let's see. Lights on. Love cup. I'll talk about the love cup another time. Oh, another thing is when they do what they're supposed to do, then you want to ooey gooey them up, and you want to make it about how you feel about yourself. Like, it's great to say, I'm so proud of you. That was awesome. You're wonderful, blah, blah, blah. But you also could say, I'm not going to say should, you must feel so proud when you do that. How does that make you feel when you do something the first time I ask you? Reinforce, but instead of it being external reinforcement, have it be internal reinforcement. See, there's a big difference between I'm proud of you or you must be so proud of yourself. You worked really hard on that project. You must be so proud of yourself. Turn it internally. Of course, they're always going to want the external, especially at this age. But you also want to have that internal stuff going on. Internal stuff is so, so important. So you're so proud of yourself. Also, the other day I asked Grady to, he's playing the Kindle. Playing the Kindle, stopping the Kindle. Grady, go plug in the Kindle. Time's up, quiet time's over, go plug in the Kindle. Guess when he did it? First time. I was like, yeah, baby. So I said, Grady, how many times do I have to ask you to plug in the Kindle? He's like, I go, one time, woo! And that was awesome. How many times? Now I can trust you. I know that when I tell you, I can trust you that when I say to put up the Kindle, you're going to put up the Kindle. That was awesome. I bet that felt good that you made that choice. And he's like, yeah. All of a sudden he's like boasting away. All I did was plug in the Kindle. So reinforce it. Take this out of it and be creative. And let's see. Shower to dryer. I said, we were going to the water park. This was a couple weeks ago, obviously, a couple months ago. But we were going to the water park, and I was getting ready, and that like time right before you're about to leave is always like the trickiest because I'm loading up the car, they're ready to go, they're getting bored. That's when they start arguing. And arguing is a huge button for me because I'm like, I want kumbaya, I want peace in the Middle East, no fighting. Get along. We have to teach them to get along. We'll do a whole day on sibling rivalry. But, so they start arguing, and instead of coming in and be like, stop fighting, we're going to the water park, you're so ungrateful, blah, blah, blah. Those are things I was thinking. I was like, take a deep breath. So I said, that's a bummer. We have to add 5 more minutes now because I have to come over here. So I told him beforehand, I said, if there's any arguing or any, things going on, tantrums, things like that, we're going to have to add 5 minutes to our leave time. And it was just kind of like, that's going to be a bummer if we have to do that because of choices they made. It's not like me being the dictator, like, now we can't leave. So the garage door was open, loading up the car, and then they were like, no, that was my toy. It was my turn. No, it was my turn. I was like, and I was like, that's a bummer. Now we can't leave until 11:15. We're supposed to leave at 11:10. Now we can't. And I'm going to have to close the garage door. So the garage door was like, and they were like, it wasn't me. It was the garage door doing the talking. So things like that, I take myself out of it and I make it about them and their choices and their consequences. The consequences are always natural. We don't use timeout anymore because when they're upset, when they're in a funk, in a thing, the last thing they want is to be left by themselves because they can't self-soothe yet. Or they can, but it's not as strong as it needs to be for their ages. Sunday, I walk into Lily's room. I think she's like pretty much ready for church. I walk into her room and she is crying. And I'm like, what happened here? And for me, crying is a trigger because I like Happy Hutchinson's. I'm wearing a shirt that says be happy. Like I'm not a big like crier over little things. So she's crying and I'm like, oh dear. And I wanted to say like, here we go. What's it now? What's going on? And then she's like, this dress is the one I wanted to wear and it's really chilly out and I have to wear cozy pants and the only cozy pants I have are the ones with the hole in it and Grandma has it because she's fixing them and she just went this whole long tirade and I wanted to be like, are you serious right now? Like you have a whole closet full of dresses. This is what I wanted to say, old Kelly. I wanted to be like, really? you have a whole closet full of dresses. You have about 75 cozy pants that you could wear. Just because the navy ones and she's like, they're extra thick and it's cold and they're my favorite cozy pants, and they're just leggings. We called them cozy pants since she was 2. So I was like, okay. So I said, wow. And so, trigger button, trigger button, trigger button. The children do not always have to be happy. They are feeling a natural emotion. Just because I don't understand it, that's okay. I also don't understand that when she gets a loose tooth and she puts a tooth underneath her pillow, she thinks that a fairy is going to fly into her house and fly underneath her pillow and leave $1 and then fly back out. Like, that just shows me and shows you what we're dealing with here. They are so clueless and mentally in the most adorable, sweet, amazing way. They are so clueless and they're so not developed in their brain. I'm like, dude, I think a fairy's flying under your, like, okay, let's go with it. But that's what we love about our kids, is that they're magic and their wonder and their amazement and imagination. But that's what we're dealing with. So we're not dealing with a coworker who's having a meltdown that her cozy pants don't fit. It's a 7-year-old having a natural emotion, just like a 41-year-old would be if they have their heart broken or whatever. What if they're feeling a sad emotion about something? So I entered into the space and I held her as is. And I said, wow, you're really feeling overwhelmed about this, huh? You're feeling disappointed about the pants? And she's like, yeah. And I just let her go, and I let her go, and I let her go. And then I said, what could we do to fix this? Nothing. And I said, I forget what the win-win was. What was the win-win? The win-win was, I just let her go. I just let her go, and I let her go. And I just validated. So you're feeling really overwhelmed. Do you need my help, or would you rather be left alone for this? She's like, I need your help. I don't know what to do. And I said, well, I'll help you think of some other choices. If they work, great. If not, maybe you could, So I said, let's figure out a win-win. And the win-win was I put out I think 2 or 3 dresses. And then it was over like that. As soon as she had that space, and guess what was made? Connection. If I would have gone in and been like, really, we're going to be late, you got to get going, it would have turned into this whole thing. But it was over before it started. I was a diffuser instead of an inflamer, and I used to be an inflamer. Grady used to come out after we put in bed, everybody's in bed. Everyone we think is asleep, all of a sudden, out he comes. I need a glass of water. I need to, is tomorrow April Fool's Day? Is tomorrow, like, just some random question. This is an emergency. Did you pack the blackberry yogurt in the lunchbox, or was it the strawberry? Because I don't like the strawberry, and it has to be fruit on the bottom, because if you stir it up, and I was like, it was all reasons. I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. You have to go back to your room. So we started doing that. Oh, it's a bummer. You have to go back to your room. But then it became a situation. So then he has 3 little things that he sleeps with. And so instead of being like, get in your room, because I don't want them to go to sleep with like all this anger and vigor in their heart. Like, I've disappointed mom and dad. They're angry with me, crying, falling asleep. It's just an awful way for me to have them go to sleep, and it's an awful way for them to go to sleep. Also, I don't want that before school. I don't want like, go. Do you have your things? I don't want all that anxiety to be added onto them, because they have enough to deal with at school. So I don't want that added chaos going on in their brain. So the more our mornings can be smooth sailing, the better. So if that means getting Lily up 15 minutes early before Grady and then doing kind of like a staggered start, that's what we do. So he sleeps with 3 loveys. And so we told him, and we said, this is becoming a situation. So what we're going to do is, if you come out the first time, you're going to lose Baseball, who sleeps with his pillow, for 5 minutes, because he's 5. Instead of putting him in timeout, we're putting the animal and stuff. And then number 2 would be Rockstar, and then number 3 would be Batman. Well, after a night or 2 of that, we never even got to Rockstar. It was just Batman. He just was like testing us. Are they in it to win it? So like, oh man, now, but because we said that Baseball and Rockstar were lonely when you left the room, and Spider-Man. Rockstar, Baseball, Star. Anyway, 3 animals, doesn't matter. He goes by 2 different names. So we're like, oh, he's getting lonely in there. So now we have to take him out so we can hold him. And he was like, oh. So then he tried a couple, no mas. And if he does, we give him 1 warning, and then after that, and it's never like, get in your room. It's all just, oh man, that's a bummer. Now he's lonely. We got to go get him. So we give him a warning, then it's Baseball, then it's rock. So it was like tiered. Okay. So those are just some strategies. Let's see, coming out of your bed. Another thing is, Grady, I gave him a 2-step thing. I said, go put on your jammies and then brush your teeth. And he's like, I don't want. I'm like, I'm going to guess in my brain and see if my magic powers are working. Instead of like, get in there, do it, blah, 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 blah. I took myself out of it and been like, instead of saying, I'm so tired, I'm being triggered, blah, blah, blah. I just like, whew. I said, you know what? I'm going to be a magician and I'm going to guess what you're going to do first. Are you going to brush your teeth? Or are you going to put on your jammies first? You go do it and then you come out and tell me and I'm going to tell you if I was right. And I wrote it down. I was like, I'm going to write it down right here. And then he's like, and he zipped off. See, those little things, instead of, when you take yourself out of it, you can think clearly. It's like, all of a sudden, and then when you ask them to do things, it's just much more agreeable and it's much more peaceful. So get this book. If you don't have time to read a book, get it on audio. I can't say enough good things about it because it takes you out of it. It takes the fear-based parenting out of it. It takes your ego out of it. It takes your past out of it. And it lets you be present and show up for your kids as is. I hope this helped. I have no idea how long I've been talking, but I think it's a long time. I have lots more to share. And if anyone's still listening, thank you so much for listening. And I love you and I love talking about this topic. So let's meet tomorrow.